I always knew something was off. It's not that I didn't trust Jason. He was a pretty good boyfriend, all things considered. But lately, things had gotten weird. He'd been coming home later than usual, claiming work was really busy. Okay, fair enough. Except for the fact that Jason worked in IT, where, as far as I knew, he sat in front of a computer all day and made sure no one accidentally downloaded malware by clicking on sketchy email links. Busy with what exactly? The Windows 11 update? At first, I chalked it up to paranoia. I wasn't that kind of girlfriend. You know the type. The one who goes through his phone, lurks behind his shoulder when he's texting, smells his shirts like a bloodhound when he's in the shower. No, I was cool. Or at least I tried to be. But things escalated when Jason started doing that thing where he'd laugh at his phone and quickly lock the screen when I asked what was so funny. It was always, "Oh, nothing," which is code for "I'm texting someone I don't want you to know about." I gave him a chance. I asked him, casually of course, who he'd been talking to lately. He shrugged, acting nonchalant. "Just work stuff, babe. You know, the usual." The usual had never included him taking his phone into the bathroom for a 20-minute shower before. So, I started paying attention. His wardrobe shifted suddenly from old band t-shirts to button-downs. He got a new cologne, and not just your standard store-bought stuff, the kind with a French name I couldn't pronounce and a price tag that made my wallet cringe. And the kicker? He shaved. His beard, his chest, even his legs. Jason was not a shaving man. That was it. Something was going on. But here's the thing. I didn't scream. I didn't throw things. I didn't cry. Nope. I channeled that righteous anger into something productive. Something clever. Something that would turn the tables. Because I wasn't going to catch him out by accident. I was going to make him show me. I was going to set a trap so good he'd fall right into it. And the best part? I was going to cheat on him first. But more on that later. I had the entire plan sketched out in my mind like a military strategy. First step, let him think I wasn't suspicious at all. So I became the chill girlfriend again. I smiled, I laughed at his lame excuses, and I acted like I couldn't care less if he came home late. I even suggested he hang out with his work friends more often. Reverse psychology at its finest. The trick was to make him comfortable. When people get comfortable, they get sloppy. Now for the fun part, planting the bait. Jason had a weakness for women in red. A stupid, obvious weakness. I remembered how his eyes glazed over every time we watched some old movie and the femme fatale strutted in, draped in crimson. So I did what any self-respecting woman seeking justice would do. I created her. Scarlet, I called her. Scarlet was going to be my decoy, the perfect woman for Jason to fall into temptation with. I figured if I could catch him entertaining the idea of cheating, that would be enough evidence. A little catfishing would do the trick. I made a fake Tinder profile using stock photos of some gorgeous, red-headed model. The bio was short and sweet. Looking for something fun, casual, let's keep it our little secret. Then I matched with him. Oh yes, he was on Tinder. I found his profile faster than you can say scumbag. A few swipes later, we matched. Hook, line, and sinker. Now the conversations were the tricky part. I didn't want to come on too strong and make him suspicious. Scarlet was a temptress, not a stalker. So I played it cool, dropping subtle hints about meeting up, letting him lead the way. And boy, did he. Within a few days, he was asking Scarlet what part of town she lived in, what nights she was free, and oh, would she be interested in a discreet meetup at some low-key bar? I almost laughed at how easy it was. Meanwhile, at home, I was all smiles and, "How was your day, babe?" Like I didn't have his betrayal sitting in my back pocket. Jason? Clueless. He probably thought I was being extra sweet because I was oblivious. Little did he know I was just fattening him up for the kill. Now here's where the revenge gets extra spicy. While I was orchestrating Jason's downfall, I wasn't exactly going to sit back and let him have all the fun. No, I had my own game to play. Enter Luke, my high school crush. now a successful lawyer who had always regretted letting me get away. Luke and I had reconnected on Instagram a few weeks prior. We hadn't talked much, but the timing was too perfect to pass up. I messaged Luke. Kept it innocent at first, asking him about work, life, small talk. And then I mentioned, oh so casually, that I'd been having some trouble at home. Jason was distant, I confided. I just didn't feel appreciated anymore. Luke, being the knight in shining armor that he was, immediately offered a shoulder to cry on. I took it. Luke and I planned a date for the same night Jason was meeting Scarlet. Except my date wasn't happening at some bar across town. No, Luke was coming to our apartment. I made sure the timing was just right. Jason would leave around 8 p.m. to meet Scarlet, and Luke would arrive at 8:15. And to top it all off, I was going to film the whole thing, but not for the reasons you think. Stay with me. The night of the big reveal, everything was falling into place. Jason left, dressed to the nines, looking like he was going to a job interview. I almost laughed when he kissed me on the cheek before he walked out the door. I waved him off, waited 10 minutes, and then texted Luke to come over. When Luke arrived, I greeted him at the door in a dress I hadn't worn since our prom fitting, right? We didn't waste much time. I led him straight to the bedroom, where I'd strategically placed my phone in a not-so-obvious spot to record everything. Now, before you go thinking I was going to make some amateur revenge video, let me clarify. This footage wasn't for public consumption. No, I had something more personal in mind. Luke and I didn't get too far just enough to make things look convincing when I heard the front door open. Showtime. Jason walked in, earlier than expected, probably thinking he'd get home in time to erase any traces of his rendezvous. Instead, he was greeted by the sight of his girlfriend in bed with another man. His jaw dropped. He looked like a deer caught in the headlights. I sat up, not even bothering to cover up. Luke, bless his heart, looked just as confused but stayed silent, waiting for me to make the next move. "Jason!" I gasped, putting on my best shocked expression. "What are you doing home? I thought you were at work." Jason stammered, I came back to... To what? I cut him off, hopping out of bed. Oh, let me guess. You came back early from your secret date with Scarlet, right? His face paled. You thought you'd sneak around behind my back and I wouldn't notice? Well, guess what, Jason? I knew. Before he could protest, I grabbed my phone and showed him the messages between him and Scarlet. His face went from white to red to green in record time. I catfished you, I said, grinning. Scarlet was me, genius. Did you really think I wouldn't catch on? You've been sloppy, Jason. Real sloppy. He looked like he might actually faint. Wait, you set me up? Oh, absolutely, I said, savoring every second. But here's the thing. I didn't just catch you cheating. I cheated first. Luke, ever the gentleman, gave Jason a polite wave from the bed. Hi, I'm Luke. Jason stood there speechless, mouth opening and closing like a fish gasping for air. And just in case you're thinking of trying to turn this around on me, I've got the whole thing on video, I added, waggling my phone. This, my dear Jason, is what we call leverage. I could practically see the gears turning in his brain. There was no coming back from this. Not only had I caught him red-handed, but I had beaten him at his own game. And the best part? He couldn't even be mad about it. Jason slumped, defeated. So, what now? I shrugged. Now? You pack your stuff and get out. I'm keeping the apartment. And maybe I'll even keep Luke. Luke winked at Jason, and I couldn't help but laugh. As Jason trudged to the door, suitcase in hand, I felt a wave of satisfaction wash over me. Not just because I'd won, but because I'd done it my way. With style, with humor, and with a sweet, sweet taste of revenge. And let me tell you, it tasted damn good. The aftermath? Well, let's just say it was everything I hoped for and more. Jason, predictably, went radio silent after the great cheating debacle. He packed his bags, left the keys on the counter, and ghosted faster than a bad Tinder date. Part of me expected some grand apology, or at least a pathetic attempt at reconciliation. But nope. He slinked away into oblivion, leaving me with the apartment, my dignity intact, and a newfound appreciation for the art of revenge. Honestly, I was a little disappointed by how anticlimactic his exit was. You'd think a guy caught in a catfishing scheme would at least give a teary-eyed monologue, right? But Jason? Not a word. Luke? Luke was fun while he lasted. We shared a few more nights together, but as it turns out, high school crushes are best left in the past. He was nice, sure, but something about him felt like a consolation prize. And I wasn't in the mood for consolation. I was in the mood for thriving. So we parted ways amicably, no hard feelings, just two people who were meant to cross paths for a short time and serve a very specific purpose. After Jason's departure, I did what any self-respecting woman with a fresh lease on life would do. I threw myself a little party. I invited my closest friends, ordered way too much wine, and made a toast to freedom. It was the kind of night where everything felt lighter, like I'd shed a layer of stress I didn't even realize I was carrying. My friends, of course, were obsessed with every detail of the catfish story, and by the third bottle of wine, it had taken on a life of its own. In the days that followed, I settled into single life with a sense of peace I hadn't felt in years. There's something liberating about being alone after you've been with someone who made you question your worth. I redecorated the apartment, bought a ridiculously expensive piece of art, and even treated myself to a solo weekend getaway. But the best part? Jason never got the satisfaction of thinking he was the victim. In fact, I'm pretty sure he's out there somewhere, still reeling from the fact that he got outplayed by Scarlet, his red-dressed fantasy who turned out to be his worst nightmare. Justice served.